is. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us, not only tonight, but really in the last 2 weeks, especially as we have been covering the Oaks and Derby like a glove. And tonight is our final Oaks/Derby prep. And we're going to talk about, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best pick five sequences I've ever seen, literally, in 30 years of playing this wonderful game. This all grade one late pick five stake sequence that ends in the Kentucky Derby race 8 through 12 is a doozy. And we are here to talk about it. I'll be bringing my co-host on in just a moment. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We can't thank everyone enough. Our subscriptions have gone up a ton in the last 2 weeks, and it's all because of you. So thank you. Also, hit that notification bell on the top right on YouTube so that you know when new content will rise, and smash that like button below the video player. And also, while I'm at it, please, right there is our X handle at HHH Racing Pod. We are like literally 10 followers away on X to 3,000. So if you are on X and you don't follow us, please make sure you do that. Not only should you do that for reasons because of our great content, but I will be at the Kentucky Derby and Oaks this weekend, and I'm going to be putting a ton of content out there on Saturday on our X channel. So please, if you want to hear interviews, I'm planning to talk to jockeys, trainers. I have media credentials, so I have great access. We're preview videos. Please follow us on X at HHH Racing Pod. We'd greatly appreciate it. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, and we have a fantastic website, hhhracingpodcast.com. You can find out everything about our pod, including a great Oaks Derby package, but you only have literally about 4 hours from now, as we're filming live here Wednesday night, the deadline for our Derby Oaks package, which is more than 20 pages of tip sheet information you get Friday and Saturday morning, one each morning. The deadline, again, is tonight, Wednesday, midnight. Please go to our website and click on the Power Picks tab. You can find out all about it. Let me bring on my great, trusty co-hosts who've just done a great job for me, especially, and for you and everyone. I've asked a lot of them. They've been on a lot of shows, and they've just done great work, and I can't wait to see how their picks do this weekend. Not as much as them, but I am curious to see how we all do. Let me bring on my co-host. First, from the East Coast of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco, and from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mr. Paul Halloran. Gentlemen, I mean all that from the bottom of my heart. It's a pleasure. Yeah, we'll just go full screen like this for a minute. I really do appreciate all the work. It is a labor of love, although I'm sure Paul will say something cheeky and say not really. But we all know that we were going to handicap these races anyway. Why not talk to thousands of people throughout the world about it, right?
Go ahead, Paul.
You gave us a head start, Howard. I got to say, I'm more into the handicapping on Wednesday at 8:00 than I've ever been. So now it's just fine tuning and tweaking. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm on to Santa Anita Sunday, Paul, already. That's what I'm working on.
I'm going to get to that, Pete. I'm going to get to that.
We should say we do have a show tomorrow night. Great Race Plays, our awesome show on Sunday nights. Excuse me, about Sunday Santa Anita Racing on Thursday nights. That is going to be at 9:30 Eastern. Pete and Paul, I already sort of prefaced what I think the main theme of this show. This late pick five, you and I all of us have handicapped a zillion races in our life. I am not just saying that to say it. I mean, this late pick five, it is difficult. It is a ton of talented horses. It's hard to find a single. It's on a big day. This is, the Breeders' Cup to me in general is a better day because like every race is amazing. You don't always get that in the Oaks and the Derby. I got to tell you guys, this is like a Breeders' Cup pick five that we're talking about tonight. This is, Paul, this sequence is outstanding.
Yeah, it is. I really dug deep today. I had looked at it a few times, but dug deep today because that was my homework, and I always do my homework because I want to get a good grade from Uncle Howard. Kravitz.
Appreciate that.
And it is the closest. Well, we'll talk about it. I came up with the closest thing to a single in the penultimate leg, but and he's 4-1, so that'll tell you what. There's how about there's like 3-1 favorites, 4-1 favorites. Horses that are 5 and 6-1 that you could use as A's. Right on target.
Guys, I am not bringing this up. Okay, just for the record, it's Delmar Dennis is bringing it up. The forecast has worsened a little bit, and all I'm going to say is watch how the track plays. I highly doubt any of the grass races are going to be off the turf. Maybe race 3 on Saturday, which I think is actually race 3 on Friday is a turf race that is a maiden race. But anyway, they're not going to take anything off the turf unless it's dangerous, Pete. But look, we have to mention it. I have to mention it, gentlemen, because if the track is wet, there's horses that like wet breeding more than others. I mean, it's definitely going to affect the races if it comes up a little bit wet.
Yeah, I mean, but I tend to sort of wait unless it's definitive. I tend to sort of wait it out and see maybe Saturday morning if I want to change anything. But at least in this case, they're probably not going to be scratching horses because of the wet like they would on maybe a normal day. So,
Bob wants to know how I am as a grader. I always find that a bit of an old school question because the grading has changed, and I don't want to get into it. But I'm fair. I don't play favorites. Look, it's math, right? If you get something wrong, you get something wrong. I mean, sure, you can give partial credit if they do a lot of good work, and as maybe Pete's son is starting to figure out, maybe you forget a negative sign or something small. But I'm fair. I'm firm. I don't, I give no quarter and take no quarter. Let's see here. Terry Frank wants to know. It'd be nice to hear who you think would be good on an off track. Terry, that's a long conversation. As we go through these races, guys, you might not want to mention. That's up to you guys. I will briefly talk a little bit about some of the potential of an off track with certain horses and how that might play, where they can find. Pete, it is important to tell people where they can find the information on the PPs about wet track breeding without getting into details.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We'll talk about that. All right, guys, let's get into it. Here we go. Late pick 5. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. There's a ton of pick 5s. And you know what? I also host fail. I was going to show the special bet. So Pete and Paul, give me a second. I do want to get this up. I think it's important. If the track is wet, do you think in general it favors speed, closers, inside, outside, or it's completely situational? What are your guys' opinion on that in general at most racetracks throughout the country?
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I think as one rule you can use is I think the better the horses, the less effect it's going to have. I think on a day like today. Now, it doesn't mean it can't move up horses. I'm not, the outliers are the horses who love it, the horses who hate it. But I think in general, I'm more apt to look if I'm looking at a 20,000 claimer who I have no idea who's going to win. I'm going to now dig really deep into the pedigree and see if I can find an edge. I mean, look at your Derby favorites by Curlin. Okay. So if you're in the journalism camp, don't lose any sleep about the weather. I was there when when Curlin won the Breeders' Cup Classic.
That's a good name. I like
that.
That
would be a really good name. By the way, that would be an unbelievable horse. Curlinism.
I was there when he won the Breeders' Cup Classic in the slop at Monmouth. So if you like the favorite, don't worry about it. But anyway, Howard, this next segment is brought to you by Degenerates or Us. Go right ahead.
All right. Well, these are some of the special bets. There's an Oaks Turf Classic Derby pick 3. Everyone, you see it on the screen. I'm not going to make it bigger. I hope everyone can see that. On Derby Day, there's an all stakes dirt pick 5. There's also a 3-year-old pick 3 that has a $3 minimum. Ooh, that might be interesting. Again, these are the specialty bets. The Oaks Derby pick 6. It's a 2-day pick 6. I'm absolutely playing that. I've been able to come together to some money somehow, and so I'm going to be playing the 2-day pick 6. There's also, of course, the Oaks Derby double. I mean, guys, we can go on and on. There's just a plethora, and there's a ton of pick 5s, Pete. I think there's like 4 or 5 pick 5s on each day, Friday and Saturday. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I think so. I was just looking now. I think you got the first, you got one in the 5th, then you have the one we're talking about in the 8th, and then you have one in the 10th. So at least 4 pick fives on Saturday, and then pick fours, pick threes all the way through.
I know that's going to surprise some people that know me very well. I'm going to do the smart thing and be very particular with my betting this weekend. First of all, I don't want to lose my butt. Secondly, I'm playing in the Kentucky Derby betting challenge, so I already have some equity going there. And third, there's just certain races that I don't really want to play for various reasons. And if the track ends up coming up wet, that would persuade me more to not quite bet as much. I just don't like playing wet tracks, guys, in soft turf. This game is hard enough as it is without those variables. Let's get on with it. It starts the all grade 1 late pick 5 stakes that ends in the Derby, race 8 through 12. Of course, starts with 8-12, race A's. This is the Churchill Downs. It's a grade 1. They're all grade 1s, ladies and gentlemen. And these fields are huge. Look at this field. You can make an argument, guys. This might be the best race of the weekend. I don't want to give short shrift to the frickin' Kentucky Derby, but this race, I mean, Banishing, Bookham, Dano Twist is a nice horse. Extra Neho, Mind Frame, Hoist the Gold, Nisos coming back, Mulligan. Oh my goodness, guys! I mean, this race is completely off the chain. Let's see where we're going here with our picks to open up the pick 5. I'm going 3, 7, 11. Look at Paul. 7, 11, 3. And Pete is saying, you knuckleheads, you're not using the Baffert horse, Nisos. Pete's going 10, 2, 7. Paul, we're going to start with you, Mind Frame. I think you can make a strong argument this is the horse to beat. Strong argument. Pletcher and Irad his return didn't blow me away, but this is a really talented horse, and you've got to think he's going to improve from that first race of 2025, which, by the way, he did win anyway.
Yeah, I would say he had to be cranked up no more than 80% for that, don't you think? Coming off the long layoff and grade 2 mile, that had prep written all over it. This horse, he got a little goofy in the Belmont at Saratoga. He might have won the Belmont against Dornoch. He came back and, looked like he was going to win the Travers. And then Dornoch, who is a tough customer, loves a fight, came back and got him. I think the polarizing horse in this race is Nisos, so we'll let Pete talk about that. I think this is a case, and I've already seen in the chat, a lot of people think he's a cinch. Howard and I think different. I'm certainly going to use him. I don't want to steal Pete's stats. I'm sure he has plenty of stats, but Pete Baffert off a 365 to 540 layoff is 20%. So that won't bother you if you like him. But I just think this Mind Frame is going to be one of the top handicap, older. They don't do handicap races anymore, virtually. One of the top older horses this year. I think this is a great spot for him. I think all systems are go, and I think he wins. And how ironic that you picked Bookham Dano and I didn't, Howard.
How about that? I know.
Sorry, crazy. Jay Briccione. I hope I hope he is watching. I'm gonna text him right now and see how he feels about Bookham Dano.
Paul, it's hard to say that Mind Frame's best distance is not 7 furlongs when he ran his debut in a 103, but I'm going to make that argument. I think he's better longer than shorter, and he still can be a little bit goofy. He's definitely a threat. How do you feel about the 7 for this horse in this race, Paul, on Saturday for Mind Frame?
I love a cutback going 7 pretty much all the time, and I think that this horse is pretty tactical. So you could be right, and I wouldn't be positive that that's not Todd's plan down the line, but remember he has Locked and Fierceness running Friday against each other at a dirt route, so. Yep. I don't think he wanted to complete the trifecta with this guy. So, I think 7 furlongs will be okay.
Pete, I'm not going to speak for Paul because neither one of us has Nisos in there. Nisos is look, I mean, if he is what he used to be, and he's only 4 years old now, he was unbelievable. He was the talk of horse racing in late 23 and early 24. And then he had a pretty significant injury. I can't recall what part of the body it was. Maybe you've got details. I don't recall. It wasn't really talked about very much, to be honest. He's off more than a year. However, Bob Baffert decides to put him in an extremely difficult spot. And I haven't watched the works. I plan on doing it the next few days. He's working unbelievably. There's no doubt of the talent. The question is he going to be fully ready and cranked up for this particular race?
Yeah, and I think though you have to put a little faith in. It's not like Baffert's bringing him back in some sort of grade 3 soft race here. So he's bringing him back in pretty much the best race of the weekend, I think, in terms of competitiveness and sort of high level competition almost. And so you have to assume that he thinks he's ready for something like this. Again, I'm sure he doesn't mind throwing them into the deep end of the ocean, but if you're bringing him back off a layoff like this, off an injury, just lightly raced, so just doesn't have a ton of experience, I have to think he's ready. And if he's ready and he's as good as he looked last year, and what I like the best about him, Delmar Dennis, I didn't see any interviews as Nisos, a serious scratch possibility. I didn't see anything about that. Did you guys?
I don't know anything about
that. Oldie put in the chat that Baffert
what's up, Oldie?
mentioned that. So, and Oldie has good info, but
I guess there that's a question mark. Thanks, Oldie, for joining the show. By the way, he does a great job with Equine Edge. Please check them out as well. That's news.
Well, you wonder too, is that related to him himself, or is that related to the weather potentially? Does he not want to bring him back? I don't know. Baffert, the 10 hole, who the hell knows what Baffert decides. But my thought is, if he's ready, and what I liked about Nisos, in sort of contradiction to some of the better Baffert horses, is I like that he could sit off, and he was professional, and he could sit off the pace. He's not I have to get to the lead kind of horse, like some of Baffert's top horses usually are. So I loved him last year, like most people did. And, he has Pratt, who's my guy. I never leave him off anything. He's tactical. There's just a lot to like. We just want to see if he's ready. There's a lot of people singling in the chat and stuff. I'm not there yet just because of the layoff and because you just never know how he's going to come back.
By the way, on one of our tape shows, Kyle Roscoe, host of Ben Boozin, said he'd trust Pratt with his unborn first son. I mean,
it sounds right.
He trusts with his life practically, with his mortgage. So
that sounds right to me.
Yeah. It's going to be this pace has to be fast. I mean, it almost has to be. I'd be shocked. There's so much speed in this race. I mean, it's just really incredible. They've got a fast pace, which might set it up for maybe a particular closer that actually I've been against a lot in these last few races. So Nisos, look, this is simply a case. I think Paul will agree with me. He's just gonna have to prove it to me on Saturday. If he wins this race, I will tip my cap and say, what an unbelievable training job in horse. Because if he wins this race, he's gonna earn it for sure. Book him, Dano. Now you guys are with me on almost every show that we do, especially the big shows. I was a little bit against him towards the end of the year, and he definitely tailed off towards the end of the year. But guys, before that, he was fantastic in the Jerkins. Remember, got sort of a weird trip. He almost beat Forever Young in Saudi, won the Woody Stevens. Okay, the Bayshore was just a prep for that. And then he tailed off slightly. But you know what? If you guys recall, at least in my opinion, I think Ira got a little cheeky with him a few times. He tried to come up the inside. Remember, he got a few trips that were questionable. They also started to rate him really far back, Paul, and I don't understand why they did that. I mean, you want a horse to be able to close, but they took him back to like 7th, 8th, 9th. I didn't understand it. He needed the break, clearly, to me. He came back in a very comfy spot, and I know he wasn't facing much, but, I mean, 120 is 120. I know that track was fast. And you know what I like, Paul? He showed more of his tactical speed again. We're going to get an okay price. People can say what they want about Paco, but in the biggest moments, he can win big races. I think it's going to set up well for him. And I don't fully trust Nisos, Mindframe, or Mullican, who we can talk about, who's coming off a layoff. So this horse is not coming off a layoff, and I'm getting a price. This is one of the horses on Saturday I'm most interested. Not the most interested, but Paul, I think this horse can absolutely win at like 6-8 to 1 and really make some money for me. I really do.
Well, look at, I love the connections are great great people. It's a Jersey bred. You can't root against these people. Are just terrific. I find myself in the torn situation of rooting for Paco Lopez, which I would prefer not to do, but I will hold my nose and do it on Saturday. And he will get. You're right about one thing, Howard. He will get an aggressive ride out of Paco, and I do think. I think you even understated it. I'm not saying it was all jockey era either, but there were some tough trips in there, including the Jerkins, where he had no choice. Castellano had no choice but to dive to the rail, and the rail at Saratoga was really not the place to be that day. And then, Irad was just a little too far back in the Perryville. You referred to that race. He didn't run well, but he also didn't get a clean trip at all in the Cigar Mile. And, I think we love Locked on Friday. We talked about that last night. So, yeah, he is certainly the type of horse who you want to have in the mix on a day like this.
He was running high 120s. Sorry, Pete. He's running high 120s before he regressed a little bit. And your horse, Pete, I'll let you talk about what you were going to say there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, or maybe you interrupted me.
No.
I don't know how the hell it happened. Banishing, talk about a guy I don't really want to root for, Paul. I'm sorry to say, is Mr. Jacobson. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Correct.
Pete, this horse is coming off a short layoff, really pretty 2 weeks, but Jacobs has done this before. This horse is running high 120s. I mean, he is in unbelievable form. And the last time I really touted him, by the way, was on August 24th, when, of course, he had some equipment issue and was a DNF, because that's what I do sometimes. That's what the horses like to do with me. But, I mean, Banishing is as fast as anyone in here, Pete. If he can replicate his recent numbers, it's not a Jacobson thing. This is just a tough ask, but maybe he's that damn good, Pete. And then,
it's funny. You figure he might get lost a little bit just because he doesn't have any real name recognition, and he's going against other horses who do. Like Bookham Dano was a horse that people talked about. Obviously, Mindframe and Nisos are horses. Mulligan was in the Breeders' Cup and ran well. So I think Banishing could just get lost just purely on a name recognition standpoint. But he's done as much as these horses have done up until this point, and he's done it multiple times this year. And now he's getting a nice little cutback, and he's shown that he could sprint, and he's shown that he could be really good sprinting. He's 2 for 2 at the distance. He's 3 for 5 in the money at Churchill, but he has a nice win here at least. So, I mean, you look at him and go, boy, this horse has done nothing wrong, and he's done it against some pretty good competition. You get a price on him. He could float up, I think, from the 5.
Oh, no, there's no doubt. And he can win. And just very quick on Mulligan, Paul, and we got to move on. I'll put Mulligan back on the screen. And what the hell has this horse done wrong? Absolutely nothing. Coming off a layoff, outside post, like 7 furlongs. Rudy Brissett can get a horse ready off a layoff. This is one of the best races I've seen in the United States. I could make the argument all year in terms of talent.
Yeah, no, this was my pick in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and just got too far behind.
Yeah.
He came running, but he was way too far behind, and he got nailed by Locked at Aqueduct in the Cigar Mile. There's no shame in that.
Nope.
And then he had reeled off 4 in a row. I'll tell you what, the race at Saratoga, the 4-go last year, he was just absolutely off the screen. He was unbelievable in that race. So, and good post. Louis will be a little more aggressive from out there. He is a straight A in my grading sheet, Professor Kravitz.
It's a great race and a great way to kick off this all grade 1 stakes pick 5 that ends.
We didn't even talk about not that we don't want to. There's 4 other horses that if they won the race, you'd probably be like, oh, that horse is sort of on the up and up, and it wouldn't even be a shock. It's such a good. This could be the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and you'd be super pumped. I mean, it's already awesome. You don't usually get these races this early.
I was ready to maybe pick Extra Nejo again, guys, but he's just a little bit too slow for me in this field.
Had him last time.
You did. Paul, you were right on top with him. That was a great call for you, Paul. Absolutely. All right, guys, let's go on to the next race. The next race is the American Turf Stakes. Of course, it is a grade 1. It's on the turf. No kidding. $1 million. They're going to mile 16. It's for the restricted 3-year-olds. Look at this field. 14 with 4 AEs who most likely will not get in. But again, if if the course is very soft, which I don't plan on being, but if it is, that might change things. The morning line favorite here is the number 3 New Century for Walsh and Irad coming back to the United States. Won at Woodbine last year. This is a Godolphin, correct? It's Godolphin. Pretty sure about that.
No, Qatar race. Qatar.
Oh, it's
racing.
Qatar. I'm sorry. It's Qatar Racing. I apologize. Let's see our picks here in race 9. This, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is the race that Trickery won last year and completely blew up the sequence at like 40 plus to 1. And that ended up not being a fluke, guys, because Trickery had a really nice year. I'm going 5-7-10. Paul's going 2-7-5. And Pete's going 10-7-5. I don't think there's as much talent here as there was last year. And I think this could be more formful, but it's a big field. We never know. Pete, let's go to you first. You're going to go with Iron Man Cal for D'Amato and Freysu with West Coast connections.
Yeah, this was a tough one because I like the horse. D'Amato, 1 for 34 on the turf at Churchill. So that I was like, well, how do I decide? So this isn't like some super strong top choice, but I just like the horse. And he's coming back. I mean, he's so lightly raced still. He breaks the maiden, goes to the Zuma Beach. He gets put up in that one against Artis. Ran against Artislas, who's a good horse too, and then comes back in second in the juvenile turf to Henri Matisse, who I really liked. So I enjoyed that win there, but ran well there. And I just think this is a good horse, and he's training really well. And obviously, D'Amato can. He's super successful on the turf. He just doesn't like it here at this track. But, that can be overcome by the right horse in the right race. And I do think this race is pretty wide open because I don't think there's like you said, I don't think there's top end talent. So there's nobody in here that it's super scary. So I think if D'Amato is going to sort of change his luck here at Churchill, this is the kind of horse and this is the kind of race that I think he can do it in because I just think it's wide open.
Freysu gave his horse an unbelievable ride. I know we only watched the stretch, but saved ground, tipped out. Henri Matisse, don't quote me on this, I believe came back and won already, or maybe a few weeks ago in Europe. I'll double check, but I recall that happening. This is a very likable horse. I know the West Coast to East thing. Maybe Paul will mention that or not. Paul's got this one out of the mix, so obviously Paul's negativity towards West Coast horses again raises its ugly.
Now look who I picked, by the way.
But he picked the West Coast horse. Who'd you pick, Paul?
Yes.
You got the 2? Is this
it's funny. I had 4
Paul, I am so sorry, sir. I really apologize. Go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say I had 4 A's in this race, and my other one is the 2. So basically, I have all the same horses on the screen. So we're all thinking alike. I don't know if that means good or bad, but at least we're all thinking alike in this one.
Paul, I'll show the stretch run of the Transylvania where your top choice, Scipio, the number 2 horse, who was 12-1 for Baltus, faced my top choice, Tescore. Tescore got the better of Scipio. So you need to pay attention here to the 7 and 8. I watched this replay a few times. I think they both got really good trips. I think Tescore was better. Your thoughts on the closing kick here and Tescore in general? Again, watch the 7 and 8.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that, although I thought the 8 was moving a little better at the end. I was really between these two, but you'll see the 7 now get the jump, and now the 8's going to come running. So no real excuse. You're right. They both got clean trips. I don't know. I just thought the 8 was coming, and I wanted those. I'm using them both as A's, but the other thing is, well, Tesco is 10-1 and Scipio's 12-1. So it could be really all wet here, according to the morning line maker. But I don't know. This is the type of race I kind of want to price, Howard. I assume you did as well, going with the 5.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here, guys. I don't necessarily think Scipio was getting by Tescore, Paul, at any point, even after the wire. I showed the gallop out for that reason. I thought Tescore had to make an earlier move, Paul, into a faster pace, and I give bonus points to Tescore for that. We were there at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup, Paul, you and I, and he got a horrendous trip in that aftercare race, and a lot of us in our group needed that horse, and that really impressed me. And then he ran fine at a very speed-favoring Gulfstream. They're coming back a few days quicker, Paul, these Keeneland horses. I don't think it's going to matter, but I just want to mention that they're getting 3 or 4 days less rest than the plan because of the turf. I don't have a lot to say in this race. I just think it's pretty wide open. I'm going to use a bunch here. I don't know how good Zulu Kingdom is. I didn't love him last year, to be very honest. I just don't think he's very fast. He did win nicely at Tampa, but I got a dream trip. But it was a relatively quick time. I don't want to throw this horse out, but I sort of feel like this is the time to try to beat Zulu Kingdom, who Pete will be the favorite based on the name.
Probably Brown and Pratt, maybe.
Right?
So that'll, but I think it's going to be a soft favorite. Although, I mean, whoever they wind up landing on, I think it'll be soft. Yeah, I had a hard time too, because in the Breeders' Cup just didn't, lost the crop, but I don't think that mattered. He just didn't do what you wanted him to do. But at least he came back. He didn't get the greatest of wins though, but I don't know. I put him in because he looks like he's supposed to be good. And you assume, Chad's going to have a horse ready. But again, I just thought this was kind of a wide open race. And we didn't even talk about the favorite New Century. I don't know. Were you completely against?
No, we need to do that. I'm sorry. That's
okay. I just
go ahead. I'll bring him up. I have a very
I just thought when he
came.
I just thought when he came over, I didn't think he was great when he came over. He was good, obviously, in the summer, but the Breeders' Cup wasn't that great. The Craven came back and wasn't that great. I'm just not sure how good he is, and he's maybe just he's a foreign turf horse. So is he going to get bet a little more than normal when he's fine? He's good. He could obviously win this race, but I don't know if he's anything special.
Yeah, you know what? Here's my feeling on this horse, then we'll move on. And if you want to interject, Paul, feel free. I don't think he is a distance horse. You say, every Euro. No, ladies and gentlemen, every Euro doesn't want distance. The breeding on the male side is very sprinty. On the dam side, not necessarily. But like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I didn't really see a lot of excuses there at all. I know he won the Woodbine race, but that was one turn. I just don't think the Newmarket race, the comeback race, was not very good. He wasn't really. I watched the race. He was uncovered, which is a problem. But I don't have the vibe, Paul and Pete. This horse is really a 2-turn horse, and maybe this field is so mad that he can just win anyway. But I mean, look at the screen, Paul. We're all playing against this horse, and it's Walsh and Irad. So I mean, maybe we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, well, this horse was trained by Andrew Balding when he was sent over here last year to run in the 2 races. Won the summer, as you mentioned, ran 4th in the Breeders' Cup. I'll be honest with you, I don't really love the second race in 2 and 3 weeks with 2 transatlantic flights thrown in. Yeah. We've talked a lot about it is easier to travel, but this is a pretty, well, maybe not 2. He likely was. He probably was over there. He was probably over there.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
But still, it's still a relatively short comeback off a European race. I think we'd agree on that. So I looked at him, and I think you're on target, Howard. I started out with Zulu Kingdom as an A, and then upon further review, as they say in the NFL, and watching the race, I thought that race was okay. I don't know how strong the field was. The horse who ran second came back and ran 4th in that Transylvania that you showed. Clunked up for 4th, as Matt Miller would say. So, yeah, I downgraded him. Can he win? Yeah, but he probably is going to be a little lower odds because of, as my friend Pete mentioned, the Chad Flavian connection.
Let's go on to leg 3, guys. This race, again, this is a Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare dirt sprint. I mean, all the big girls are here. This is an absolute war. This race is unbelievable. It's the 3rd leg. It's race 10. It's the Derby City Distaff. They're going 7 furlongs, another $1 million purse. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. I mean, look at this field. Scylla, Copion, Hauling Ice, Mystic Lake, Vava, Ways and Means, Emery, Positano's Sunset, who just upset the field at Keeneland. Hope Road for Baffert. My Mean Squeezed. I mean, my Lord. And there's 2 also eligibles. And if the 15, by the way, gets in, that's even more speed in this race. And people need to, make sure you look at that. I'm not saying the 15 is going to win. I'm just saying that's Mod Alvarado and a very fast horse. So the money line favorite here, guys, is the number 8 Ways and Means for Chad and Flavian, who was a bit disappointing, at least was disappointing to me, because I bet her somewhat substantially in the Breeders' Cup last year. Let's see where we're going here in this race. I'm going 13-8-1. Paul's going 1-9-2, and Pete is going 2-1-11. And ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we're simpatico, the three of us. That's how hard these fields are. You could go a million ways in all these races. This is just going to be a really fun sequence. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're going to go with Scylla, Mott, and Rosario. I believe you liked her last year also in the Breeders' Cup, filling her sprint. I mean, why wouldn't you? She's really good. I have small reservations, not really about the layoff, but about the rail. I don't like the rail going 7 in a talented field, but Mr. Hellen's going to tell us why. Don't worry, Howard. Mont and Rosario are gonna win this grade 1, no problem.
No, actually, Howard, I was with you aboard the SS Titanic Ways and Means in the contest.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yes, and like Jack in the movie, you and I blah 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 blah.
But we have arisen.
We like Jesus last Sunday.
Exactly.
So this horse was scratched from the Madison. If that bothers you at all, I don't know why. It could have been track condition. It was a Madison weekend we were there, Howard, wasn't it?
Yes.
Pretty sure it was. Anyway, I like this horse. I went from this horse being a B to my top selection after a little more. I agree with you kind of about the rail, although, again, I think it's less of a factor with better horses. I think Rosario is going to be perfect for this horse because in this race, she's got to rate somewhat. There are races on her page where she's gone to the lead, albeit longer races. This race, I think, is going to be won from behind. My only concern would be him getting her too far behind, to be honest with you. But she's only run 7 furlongs twice, hasn't won. Notably, she is 4 for 4 at Churchill, which is a track that horses tend to repeat good efforts on, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Derby. So, yeah, I agree with you 100% about the field. I think Ways and Means is a great horse. I mean, Vava, who was clearly one of the top fillies, filly and mares last year, is going to be all of her morning line of 6-1, maybe higher. I have Emery as an A. She's 6-1 morning line. You can argue hasn't beat horses of this caliber, but's been right there with them. So yeah, I think I'm going to take Scylla in a very, very difficult race, as you point out.
Pete, you're going with a horse that that stuffed me into a locker last time. Richard Mandela was involved. Actually, two back in La Brea, stuck me in a locker at 37-1, and almost everyone else, where there was a ton of speed. She was off a long layoff, and she still won and beat the Baffords, and then came back and flattered that race by winning the Santa Monica, which was a weaker race, but won that easily by 4. Mandela's got this Omaha Beach filly in unbelievable form. This is, at least in my opinion, by far the toughest race she's ever been in, but you really want to question Mandela at 8-1 with a nice inside post and a lot of speed with a horse that is in as good a form as anyone in the country right now. I like your pick. I think it's an awfully tough spot, but it's the kind of race where I think you want to take a little bit of a price, which is why I'm going to 13, which I'll talk about when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I also I think this is one where the favorite's not going to be that low. So I think you're gonna have the money is going to be spread out, especially if you're talking sort of horizontal plays. But she's just one of those horses that, the route races muddy up the form a bit, and when she's sprinting, she's dominant. She's dominated every sprint race she's been in. So maybe she's just great when she's sprinting. And, from a figure standpoint, from a results standpoint, Mandela doesn't ship necessarily unless he has something big going on. He's won 3 out of his last 5 shipping out of California. So when
What's
he
up,
ships,
Juan? Just want to say hi to Juan in the bottom of the screen.
Hey,
What's
Juan.
up? Likes JJ Hernandez.
So when he ships, it has purpose to it, and I just think this horse is excellent. If you can get anywhere near 8-1 on what could be the best sprinting filly in the country, I'm going to take it.
I have a stat for you, Pete.
Go ahead, fire away.
Mandela in Kentucky, has not run a horse at Churchill the last 5 years, by the way.
Huh.
In Kentucky, 2 for 12, 17%. So he does not ship much, and you will hear that 100 times between now and post time.
Yeah, that's all they say. And my thought, Paul, is sometimes you just have the best horse. I don't care where they're coming from. I don't care who's bringing it. Sometimes maybe you just have the best horse, and that's enough.
Pete, you want to respond to Hot Rod Horse Player? Ways and Means, who's the 8, is not better than Copion. Give me a break. Whoa,
I think on performance, I agree. I think Ways and Means was a little disappointing to me. I thought she was disappointing in the Breeders' Cup, which I think we just talked about a little bit. And I do think, though, that when that rain comes, if this track is a little off, then you better maybe want to add Ways and Means back to your ticket if you take her off, because she does like an off track. But I just think Ways and Means was a little bit more reputation. Not that her performance was bad. I mean, her performance is excellent, but I think she had a big name, but she didn't dominate like really good horses the way you hoped that she would, I think.
Well, I would like to push back on that, Mr. Visco.
Go ahead.
I mean, the test, albeit in August, as opposed to the La Brea, which is in December, but the test was a better field than La Brea, wasn't it?
I'm not saying it wasn't a better field, but it was still a 5-horse field with a decent field. Emery is good. My Main Squeeze is pretty good. It was still a 5-horse field, and it was an off track, which it seems like she really likes. So
the only thing
be a combination of that.
I think it's tempting to overreact to the filly and mare sprint, especially if you're like Howard and I, and you got knuckled in the head in the contest. But I do think, minus the Kentucky Oaks in that race, she's pretty formidable. Now, I didn't pick her, so I'm not, but certainly if she wins this race, no one has any right to be surprised.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, she was in consideration for close to the top choice for me. So I just think that she's good and excellent, but not. I think Copion has been better sprinting. And I mean, that's just opinion at this point. We're going to see it on Saturday. That's why they lace them up.
Guys, I'm going to take a little stab in this race. I'm going to fully admit this horse has to really step up. But you know what? There's a lot of things I like about my Main Squeeze in this race on Saturday. I really do. And I'll be brief, but we got to talk about a few things. First of all, I think she's better as a closer. I think that's pretty obvious if you look at her PPs. Let me go full screen. She's better as a closer. In the Madison last time, which was a comeback race, she was forced to move up a little bit closer to the pace than she wants to be. And by the way, she got a 95 buyer, which is not that far off some of the better ones in here. And she was wide. She's actually, let me go back a little bit. She's the 5 here, and she makes this wide early move into a fast pace off of a layoff. And, at this point, I'm like, ooh, boy, she might actually win this thing. And she flattened out late. She's, where is she? She's back here. But she doesn't really completely give it up, and she didn't get the trip that she wants. And I don't think it was really, if she's the 4, she's the 4, I'm sorry. She's the 4, guys. My bad.
Right.
She stuck around very well there. And I don't think that race was that bad at all. In fact, it was actually pretty good. Now, she faces tougher horses here. She's 2 for 2 at Churchill. That's got to matter. She does well when it's wet, if it is going to be wet. And remember, she upset the field last year but she won the Dogwood by 5 in September. And then last year, she won the 8 Bells at 7-1. So it's wet, possibly. She loves the track. There's going to be a ton of speed. She's got an outside post. She's got Saya's back on. She's second off the layoff. She's only a 4-year-old. And I don't think she's going to be 12-1, guys. I think she's going to be 15 or 16-1. I don't think she's going to be that low. Can she win? Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here on the win end. Can she get second or third and blow up the try or exactas? Absolutely. So I have her on top because it's my cheeky opinion in this race. There's a lot of horses coming off layoffs. We've talked about already, guys. There's a lot of horses in this race that they're really talented, but they're not always consistent, and there's a ton of speed in here. I think My Main Squeeze is going to run a huge race again on Saturday. Can she win? Okay, maybe not, but I think she's just going to run a big race. Either one of you have quick thoughts on My Main Squeeze, and we'll go on to
Yeah,
the
I
penultimate
do,
leg.
Howard. First of all, hats off to you for picking the New York bred. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. And secondly, I think she will greatly benefit from this outside post in this race. The last time you showed her making a wide move, but she started inside in the race. It had to be an inside out. She had to work her way outside due to circumstances. I think even with Louis, she'd probably be a little closer with Louis, but I think she's in a much better spot post-wise in this race.
I think she's going to have clean, I think she's going to be clean on the outside. I don't think Saez is going to be as aggressive, Pete, or as aggressive as he needs to. This is absolutely a reverse try keep for me, a play on Saturday. I'm going to make sure I have the money I want. And I'm going to play her very hard, especially underneath. Now, I'm throwing her in my pick fives. I don't think she's impossible, Pete.
Yeah,
I know she's got to step up, but look, yeah, that's how you get paid. So, yep. All right,
well,
guys,
I was going to say, it's
let's
funny
move
because
on.
I have Positano
race.
Sunset in the same vein, basically, as the horse that I think could do the same thing at the same price with the same kind of trip. So I think we're thinking the same. It's just not landing on the same horse, but I think we're thinking the same way.
I sort of thought last time was the time for her, and she got an unbelievably dream trip, and boy, that really hurt me in that sequence. But she's gotten better and better. That's
what I wonder. Yeah, it's Wilkes. I wonder if she just might be
better and better, Pete.
Yeah, and she might be one that you don't realize she's as good as the others yet. And maybe you have to see how she runs against these. And if she does well, then you're like, oh, man, she maybe is better than we thought.
Just let everyone know we're not going to talk about the Derby for quite as long as we normally would because we had a whole show on the Kentucky Derby. We've talked about it ad nauseum. So we're going to spend the same amount of time on the Derby as these other races. Let's get to the penultimate leg of this all grade 1 stakes pick 5. And this is a very interesting wide open race also. It is the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic. Of course, it's a grade 1. It's on the turf, of course. Mile and eighth, $1 million purse, another big field of 12. The morning line favorite here is a soft one. It is the number 1 Integration for Shug and LaFranco Dettori. Let's see where we're going to go here in this race. I'm going, not there, sorry. There we go. I'm going 6-8-1. Paul's going 1-7-8. And look at my Paisan brother. He is also going with Cherie, 6-7-1. Paul, I have very strong opinions about Integration, and I will pat myself on the back with this one. There's certain horses that drive me crazy, and I'm wrong all the time about them. Integration is not one of them. I'm usually spot on with him. I'll talk about why I only have him in third, but why do you have him winning this big $1 million race on Saturday?
Well, I thought that was, and in fairness, I did love him last time at Keeneland. And, frankly, Spackler wins this race by, a lot. Now, that was a mile, so they're stretching out, but I think that benefits this horse. This is the horse on the card I would single if I could single a horse.
Wow. By the way, Matt Miller agrees with you. Matt Miller agrees.
Oh, well, then I feel even better.
Okay.
I thought that was a winning effort last time, except losing to an Eclipse finalist type horse. The Pegasus, you can say, well, she got caught. I think our friend Frankie moved a little early there and got nailed on the wire by the.
He hasn't done that many times lately, has he? Jeez.
Oh my goodness!
Don't even get me started. Go ahead.
Yeah, he got nailed on the wire by another New York bred, Spirit of St. Louis. But I think post-wise, race flow-wise, figure-wise, I think it's a very competitive race, but I don't see anyone that jumps off the screen and is going to put up a huge number. And I think this horse is as solid a play as there is on the day.
Wow.
I think the distance, Paul, is what I about Integration. I think when he goes down to the 8 furlongs, he's not as good. I think getting him a little extra distance, I like.
What is his
more
best
for
distance?
Integration.
That's one of my problems with him. I don't even know.
I haven't figured out the best one, but I think it's not a mile. I think it's a mile and an eighth and up. That's the way I at least look at him always.
I don't think Shug knows. I don't think Shug knows what's the best distance, to be very honest. And I have mad respect for Shug. I don't think he knows.
Well, he's 3 for 6 with a second at 1.125 miles. So that's certainly a contender.
I want to quickly show the time form USP, then we'll get to your top pick.
Yeah, please.
Integration on the right side, mid 120s, I think you could pretty much say on average. I just want to go some of the other main contenders because we're going to talk about a few horses. So remember the mid 120s for integration. Taking Candy is a little bit slower right now. There's a 124 in there, but a few points slower for sure. Running B is right with integration if you believe in time form figs, which again, ladies and gentlemen, are these numbers on the right side of the screen, which usually 15 to 20 points below the buyer. So there's one. I thought there's another. There's Spirit of St. Louis, who was also right there, except for the last race. So if you believe in time form and you're strictly going by that, it's either integration running B or Spirit of St. Louis. I just want to bring that up, and some other, I won't say fringe players, but some ones that are going to have to step up, like Taking Candy. But as I mentioned in our Power Picks tip sheet that's coming up for everyone, our special, we're playing the stock market here, right, guys? We're trying to figure out who's going to make the biggest jump and improvement and run well on the day. It's not necessarily what they've done before. Obviously, Pete, that has to come into consideration, but you believe, as well as I do, because I've got him on top, that Taking Candy is possible of taking a step forward, and we're getting a price.
Yeah, a couple things you like. The one thing I don't like is hasn't won off Lasix, and doesn't have it here. So, but he's run well without it. He's run solid without it, and actually pretty well. So it's not a big concern. But I'm with you. It's sort of you're sort of looking for the move forward as opposed to some of the others where we sort of know what they are. Even though this one's 5. I think was really steady at the end of last year and was getting good and was getting better. And then what you like to see is you come back in your first race of 2025 and we see improvement from 4 to 5. Ran probably his best race last out. Now, again, it was a grade 3. This is a big step up in talent and class. But again, I think you're getting a price because he hasn't done it yet. But if he's better and if he gets that move forward, you're getting the price now to where maybe it races down the road. If he wins here, you're not going to get that price again. So this might be the time. And Cherie can get a horse ready. Jose is riding great. And again, I just think this horse is on the up and up. And you see those 2 works since the last one, the 47, 1 out of 99, and then a 47 and 4, 3 out of 102. she's getting this horse ready. So I just think this one's ready to fire, man. And I looks like you do too.
I do too. Let me quickly talk about integration, then I'm going to talk about my play literally of the entire day. Paul and Matt Miller, I have respect for both you guys, obviously. This horse can win. I don't know who he's really beaten, and he's always a low price, and he just doesn't win a lot. Look, he should have beat Spirit of St. Louis, to be very honest. He wasn't going to beat Carl Spackler, but I mean, even before that, okay, you're on the Red Smith, big deal. He got a perfect trip, and it was a weak field. He didn't run well in the Turf Cup, really. The Arlington Million, okay, he lost the Nation's Pride, but he got a really good.
The Million, there. It's called the Million now.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I hear you. I like West Point. I think Tori's riding great. To be very honest, he's going to be 2 to 1. Forget that 4 to 1. That's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't love him. I just don't. Let me talk about my horse here. Paul, I'm so happy you have this horse in 3rd. That made me so much better. I love Pete. This is a Schwazia move here.
Here you go.
What Matt Bernier, you are my hero. Look at Matt Bernier says this is a big boy. You could bring that up again. And Matt and I did not talk. Matt, I know thanks Matt Bernier from NBC Sports and FanDuel. Does a great job, of course. Good friend of the show, good friend of mine. Matt and I did not talk about this horse at all. I swear to God. Matt Bernier says in the bottom of the chat, cameo performance, the big bet of the day. Wow. Maybe not good enough, but on the chewed up part of the turf at Fairgrounds last out, finished as well as anyone. May not be good enough, but need to find out at that price. Matt, I could not agree more. You go ahead and you can take it down, Pete, the quote there. Matt, I totally agree. He just said a lot. I love progressive 4-year-olds, guys. Love progressive 4-year-olds. He took a big step up last time in Muniz. He beat Spirit of St. Louis. He beat Taking Candy. He was the only one. We can't show the replay. He was the only one, guys, that was really closing through the lane at all in a very soft pace. He wants to go the distance. I wish there was a little bit more speed in this race, but I don't think he's that far off. He's, maybe 2 lengths off Integration and some of the better ones. He projects, guys, to take a massive step forward. Walsh is cranking this horse off the same way that you just mentioned, taking Candy, Pete. If he's in the money, he doesn't have to win for me. If he's in the money, I'll be ecstatic. Matt Bernier, we see the same thing. We might be completely wrong. Everyone could think we're crazy. 20-1, that's fine. I think he's more like 15. I want progressive 4-year-olds. This is one of the few horses, Pete, along with Taking Candy, that figure to move up. Integration's not going to really improve that much. Running B is not going to improve that much. There's no unbelievable Chad in this race, guys. There's no like fancy Euro to bet here. This is, I think, a pretty wide open race unless Integration is that good. I don't think he is. That's my opinion. I love Canada performance to at least getting the money on Saturday. One of my plays of the day, one of my plays in quite a while, which means he's probably going to finish a dull 7.
Yeah, I have him. He's next for me. He was close. It was between him and Integration for the next spot. So like on our grids, I have him as like the highest B. But I agree. I think he could win the race. I don't think he's just a threat to hit the board. I think he could win if he progresses enough and the race sort of falls apart.
And you have Paul. Look, you and I are thinking similar. You've got her as high as 3rd here.
Yep. So, I thought that was a good race last time. Matt makes a good point about the the fairgrounds turf. He was coming second off the layoff. Walsh is on fire since Caitlin started. He's been really, really hot recently. He may win the next race we talk about. Who knows?
Everyone's on this horse. Going to be 5-1. The way people are talking in the chat. Jackson Muniz does a great job for us. West Coast young man who knows the game very well, especially considering these guys that are in their 20s, guys that are on the show are just fantastic. I can't say enough good things. Jackson's Coast of PHP. Check that show out on Tuesdays. I just feel like, guys, we'll go to the Derby now. I just feel like the big turf race is this is sort of a meh field compared to other fields we've seen here. And I think someone's going to step up and maybe surprise. And I'm hoping it's cameo performance. All right, guys, the Derby. We're going to talk about 10 minutes of the Derby and then give our picks. And then I've got some packing due here at some point. 151st running. We had our own show, ladies and gentlemen. Please check it out just on the Kentucky Derby. I do want to mention, since we have so many people, please, if you're on X, please follow us at HHH Racing Pod. Again, at HHH Racing Pod. We're only like 10 followers away from 3,000. We'd really appreciate your help with that if you're on X. Plus, I'm going to have a ton of content on Derby Saturday. I'm going to be there, trainers, owners, try to get some jockeys. So please follow us on X. And then, of course, also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let me go ahead guys, to the Derby field. This time I'm just going to show the Equibase Derby field. We've talked about this race ad nauseum. It's a big field, of course, of 20. Baeza is not in the race as of now. You never know. Journalism, of course, big favorite, but very impressive horse. 3-1 morning line. Let's go ahead to our banners right now to see who's going to win the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. I'm going 8-18-4. Paul's going 18-9-8. And Pete is going to go with the Japanese horse 7-8-18. Paul, I'm just going to let you talk for a minute. Everyone will just get like a minute or two here, just uninterrupted. Talk whatever you like about this race. You are going to go with the number 18, 70, for a great combination of Mott and Alvarado.
Yes, we talked a lot on the show. I just think, Mott is being unusually positive. He doesn't smile a whole lot, but if you watch him, they've had him on every morning. He's been, I think he thinks he has a very good shot. Now, journalism is going to be a handful. I get it. Okay, but as of the betting right now, there's a big discrepancy. I think this start's going to be third choice. It's pretty clear from the early betting. I think the Sandman money is going to materialize. I think Sandman being lower odds than this horse is a gift. So if again, I think he is going to be tactical enough not to have to come from 18th where you can't win this race from. I think Junior gets him over somewhat, gets a decent, more of a mid-pack trip. We talked about it the other night, than a back-of-the-pack trip. And he makes that big move on the turn and comes and runs him down. And hopefully he's trying to run down East Avenue, just like Time Form says right there.
Yeah, that would work. That would be pretty nice for you, right, Paul? If East Avenue
That'd be good.
takes the lead at the top of the stretch, and mid-stretch he's trying to hang on, and Sovereignty's closing and trying to get him.
Yeah, that would be good.
Anyone else you'd like to mention? Yeah, Burnham Square second and the favorite third.
Yeah, I think Burnham Square is a solid price play. I think the horse has I think the horse's chance to win this race is going to be greater than his odds are going to indicate. I believe he will be double digit. Ian Wilkes, easy guy to root for. He did come running. School's out on how good the Bluegrass was after him in East Avenue, but he really made up a lot of ground late. And the other horse I would mention, Howard, is I think my blow up the board horse is the 3 Final Gambit, who's training pretty well, by the way.
He is, and that's a contest play for me. When I say contest, I don't mean the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge. I mean our fantasy draft, which is another show we have. Please check that out on our podcast. Again, what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see any of our shows, go to our YouTube channel, HHH Racing Podcast, just in the search bar, and we have a whole section only Derby Oaks previews, and you can backclick and see there's like 14 shows. It's crazy. We've done a lot just for you folks. We've really enjoyed doing that. Pete, you're gonna go 7, 8, 18, my friend. You really believe in this Japanese horse. You're not the only one that feels that way. Luxor Cafe, the floor is yours, sir, as I bring up Luxor's PPs.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, anytime you're bringing a horse over and we don't know about, I think the biggest question about Luxor Cafe is, well, who was he beating over there? And that's always going to be a question. And is he fast enough? Because obviously the figures that we get, you get some figures, but how do they translate? Do they translate evenly? That's always the question. But I just look at a horse, and I think Journalism is the best horse. I think Journalism is a deserving favorite. I think on paper, he looks like he should be the winner. I think there's a lot to like about him. But the one thing I do like, a lot of the good horses, and we talked about this on the other show, a lot of the good horses are going to be coming from a little further back. Now, Paul wants Sovereignty to be a little bit closer and not be one of those that's coming from too far back. But I think a lot of the good horses might be coming from a little further back. And I think Luxor Cafe, from the post that he drew and just from his style, I think can be a little bit closer and be sort of in that second pack. So maybe he can get the jump on some of the deeper closers. And from a pedigree standpoint, just watching him run and watching how he finished, especially that last race, he just looks like the distance is going to be no problem for him. And we don't know for any of them, but he feels like it won't be a problem. So I think that's a benefit. We get the Magic Man, as everybody's saying in the chat, to pick him up. So I don't fear for a jockey who's not been here and run in the Derby before, because he's running big races all over the world. So I don't think that's going to necessarily be a problem. I just think it's a horse that if you can get a price, oh, look at that, 3 for 4 on the wet. Yeah, so if it does come up wet, he has run on an off track as well.
Yep.
I know Matt likes Luxor Cafe as well, and there is some love in the chat. But I just think there's a lot to like. He just has to be good enough, and you just don't know because of the competition. And so we're going to have to find out. But again, I think at that price and early wagering, he's still hovering around that 15. So I think it's probably going to stick. So, and I'm with Paul, by the way. I don't need to talk about Sovereignty. He did an eloquent job of that already. I like Flying Gambit as well. He's my 4th horse. So I am with him. I think he can win, just for who the hell knows if it goes nuts. I think he has a shot. So I like him on the top line as well.
The Derby is a weird race. Paul has talked about this a lot. We've talked about this a lot. I just want to mention, we want to give out some facts, take it or leave it. The smartest people that I know that follow Asian racing and the experts that are based in Asia and Japan say that Luxor Cafes run about that last race about a low 90 buyer. Again, take it or leave it, but horses can improve. A lot of things can happen. I just want to mention that, but he's not the only one in this race that, Final Gamut had a 90 buyer in his last.
Those
And
paces were pretty slow too, though. So he's never
absolutely.
really had real. I don't think he's had real pace to run into.
Well,
so
he's never seen this. I'll tell you.
no,
that.
I know,
doubt
and
about
but
that.
and you don't know if that's going to be good or bad. Does he get
could be
stuck
great.
too close to it, or is it help
Yep.
him out? And he's like, "Holy crap! These horses are actually they're going fast enough where I actually can run them down because they're going to actually tire." Yeah, who knows?
Right. And the wet track, I said I was going to show that. Let me just show everyone right now. You see, this is called a Tomlinson number. People don't know. This is DRF, so not everyone's got DRF PPs, but you can find this on almost any past performance. They have these Tomlinson numbers. This wet is where you want to look, and anything basically above 400 is very good. If it's 360 to 400, that's more on like the average. Less than 350 is
see that,
not
Howard?
great.
By the way, sorry, you see that?
What? I'm off the show. Wow. Well, that's a bit of a bummer, Nick. But thank you for letting me know. Okay.
Sorry to cut you off there.
That's all right. Cameo performance is my preferred play of the day. But if that's true, I'm a little bummed about that. But thank you for the information. Anyway, I will take favorites when I think they're justified. I would never, ever, not justify, but justified. I would never bet journalism on the win end at 5-2 or even 3-1. I've been saying it for quite a while. He is clearly the most talented in this race. He's run the fastest. He's professional. I could go on and on. In a 20-horse field, when he's only been facing 5 or 6 with great setups, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about this a lot. He certainly does not have to win this race, but I have to pick him on top publicly because I just think he is the best horse. And if he gets a good trip, which I project he will, I think he's got a major shot. And it's just the horse to beat in this race. I like Sovereignty. I want to mention Rodriguez because everyone is saying how fast this pace is going to be, and it's crazy.
Hey, there we go.
Jake.
How
about that, Jake?
Paul, you got that one in the...
That's my godson, new viewer, Howard.
Oh, well, thank you. What's up, Jake? How you doing? And
he's going to
so
spread
honored
the word.
to have Paul's godson. What's up? Thoughts on
Okay.
Rodriguez? Welcome to the show, Jake. Don't be a stranger.
It's a good question, by the way.
You know what? Everyone's like, this pace can be lightning. I'm not so sure it's going to be. It's going to be fair. It's not going to be slow. Maybe this horse by Authentic guys is for Baffert is just getting good at the right time. He might not need the lead. I think he probably does. I don't love him, but of all the speed horses, this to me by far is the most likely winner. I think he's going to sit a real good trip off the speed. He breaks well. If he can just sit in a good spot, maybe get first run everyone else, I don't think he's impossible here at all. Not only that, Mike Smith knows how to win big races, and I think he still does. He's not the same. But you don't think Baffert is absolutely dying to win this race on Saturday? I mean, probably more than ever based on circumstances. The one negative, there's a few, but the one negative, and I do need to point out, 235 is the Tomlinson. I don't think I've seen that low a Tomlinson in a long time. So if it's wet, that might be a major problem for Rodriguez. Of course, we don't really know. I'm going 8-18 for, and I'm going to throw Burnham Square in fourth, by the way, in the Kentucky Derby. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up the show, it's just been a pleasure, gentlemen, to be with you guys, especially these last 2 weeks. I think we've given out an incredible amount of content. I counted, we have almost 30,000 views in the last week and a half and another 5, 6, 7,000 listeners. We continue to grow, and it's all because of you. Again, please follow us on X right there at HHH Racing Pod. Hit that subscribe button. And don't let Pete and Paul, here's the key, don't let the Derby be the last time you're betting for a while, or especially following us, because we are on Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday night shows. There's big races, coming up through the summer. So please don't be a stranger. Pete and Paul, I'll give you each 30 seconds for any closing thoughts on this weekend. Pete, you're first.
Yeah, I mean, it's Derby weekend. What else do you really need to say in the horse racing game? This This is our Super Bowl. This is our whatever World Series. This is whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be a great weekend. There's great horses. There's big name horses, which is so much fun. And then we cap it off with the Derby. So let's cash some tickets. Let's make some money. And by the way, some of us aren't done working. Everybody in the chat, join us tomorrow night, me and Paul, Santa Anita Sunday. Let's get the bankroll. When you win hundreds of thousands on the Derby, let's roll that bankroll right into the Sunday late pick 4 with me and Paul at Santa Anita. Why not?
And those fields are underrated. We're not just saying because Santa Anita sponsors us. The late pick 4 at Santa Anita is usually big fields.
It's 14. There's a 14, not AEs. There's a 14. I think there's a 14 and 11, like a 12, and then a 9 or something. So
sounds good to me.
Not exactly the quality of the horses we've been talking about today, but it's still the green that you get is the same as winning the Derby or winning the 8th race on Sunday at Santa Anita. So, I'll take the money regardless of where it comes from.
Paul, you've been watching these races for a long time on Derby weekend. Final thoughts, sir, for this weekend?
2 quick ones. Just heard back from Jay Briccione, Bookham Dano. Horse has been there since Monday. Came out of the last race very well. Very tough race. Looks like it might set up better for him with the speed outside. Who knows what Nisos may bring, but we get both him and Mulligan coming off layoffs. We are excited to be there.
Very nice.
So that's Bookham Dano connections, everyone. Yep.
Yes, easy to root for, guys. No, it's we talked to. It's the day that the rest of the world looks in on this world that we live in all year, and we're excited. And I'm going to make a non-horse racing prediction. Can I do that, Howard?
Of course.
This is really but next week when we come on the air for our show on Thursday night. Is it Thursday next week? I lost track, Pete. Yes. Pete will let me know what night I have to be on next week. I think we're going to have a new pope named Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines.
Wow. Interesting.
And I am rooting for him hard, by the way.
Odds in Vegas?
I was going to say, are there odds? Can I parlay him with Resort Cafe? Yeah.
As odd as it sounds, there are, I think offshore, there are some places who would take that action. You're going to have to come to grips with yourself on that one. But that might be my Derby get out, Pete. Things don't go well Saturday.
Pete, you got to do what you got to do, right? You got to do what you got to do.
The money counts the same, regardless of whether it's the Pope, the Derby.
It's great. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in to add a little levity to the end of the show.
Well, I didn't think we'd be ending our major conversations about the new Pope, but hey,
that's what you get for all you new listeners. This is what you get on the HHH.
We have fun, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna entertain and educate at the same time. I've had a great time.
Trip, Howard.
Thank you very much. I look forward to going to the Derby with my great friend Matt Miller, his wife Beth, Patrick Kunzel of the podcast. All 3 of them have never been to the Derby, and then Noah Maher is also joining us for his second time. I want to thank everyone once again for watching, listening. We really appreciate it. We could not do it without you, and we want to wish everyone a ton of success this weekend on Oaks and Derby Day. Crush your bets on the Oaks and the Derby, especially the all Grade 1 late pick 5 that ends in the Derby on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Happy Derby. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.